Welcome, everybody, to this session of Route Happy, powering modern airline merchandising. We're going to go ahead and get started and talk about Route Happy for the next 45 minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce myself and have my colleague Mandira introduce herself. I am Nicole Rudder, and I am a lead trainer with ATP Co. Been with ATP Co. for like a million years, and I train lots of airlines all over the world on our products.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for choosing us. I know there were many competing sessions going around, so thank you for coming here to learn about Route Happy. As I said, I am Mandira, and I manage the commercial and the strategic aspects of all sales channels that adopt Route Happy in the EMEA region.
Okay, now for our disclaimer, which I'm sure you've heard, but we have to read legally. I'm going to go really fast. I'm going to try to do this really fast. All right. Standardization of airfare-related industry to make the distribution and interpretation of airfare-related data and efficient. Themselves in a manner consistent with this meeting's industry-wide pro-competitive mission. Because participants represent companies that compete with must not engage in conduct that could be perceived as a violation of the antitrust laws or the competition laws around the world. Discuss or take action regarding any fare, nor will it discuss or take action on remuneration levels of any intermediaries engaged in the sale of transportation. The authority to discuss or reach agreement on the allocation of markets, the division of revenues, or the number of flights or capacity to be offered at any discussions regarding such matters or concerning any sensitive topics, either on or off the floor, are strictly prohibited. Discussing or reaching any agreement related to those meeting participants to liability under laws or under the competition laws of other jurisdictions around the world. The content of this meeting is not misinterpreted. We request that participants refrain from any further communications concerning that content over social media or other public platforms. Whew. Okay. Out of the way. We are going to get started with a Slido. So, we want to know how you would rate your knowledge of Route Happy, because I know a lot of you in here might know nothing about Route Happy. Some of you might know a little, some of you might know a lot. So if you want to take a snap of that Slido and sort of answer how you'd rate your knowledge, let's just kind of get a feel for that. I'm an expert. If there are experts in this room, you probably know more than me.
We will learn together, Nicole.
That's right. All right. Okay. So we're hovering around 35% at a little bit. Cool. Great. All right, so hopefully after this session, you'll move up a little bit and know a little bit more. Let's do another one. What do you think of? What's the first word that comes to mind when you hear Route Happy or Route Happy, however you hear it said? What comes to your mind? What word? Content? Okay. Branding data? Yes. Ancillaries. Images. Yes. Rich content. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Merchandising. Standards. UTAs. Okay. Great. So the biggest I see there, rich content. Yes. And I would say that's a good one. Yes. That's a lot of what we're going to be focused on. So let's jump in and talk a little bit more about Route Happy and where this sits. Now, you've seen this slide, probably a variation of this in other presentations during this week. Where Route Happy really sits in this process from creating the offer to servicing it is in the presenting the offer phase. And to improve retailing, the industry is really focused right now. Well, it has been for a while, but we're really focused on the transformation within each stage of the life cycle. And in this path to modernization, this presenting the offer is very, very important. So we're going to talk more. I'm not going to go into too much about that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about flight displays and how Route Happy can make this better. So typically, years ago, and even still today, we have these generic flight displays that don't necessarily reflect what that passenger is going to get during their experience. So this would be like a pricing display, very basic. It shows, the inventory, it shows the flight number, the time, the route, maybe the aircraft. Not very exciting. A lot of us in this room are probably used to these kinds of displays, but it's not showing you much more than just the basic offering. I know that before, I'm kind of a travel nerd, and even on public websites or direct websites or OTAs, before there was a lot of this merchandising and these pictures and the branding, I would always have to go do research to see what I'm actually getting on an aircraft. What am I getting on a flight? What am I getting with this airline? And it was a huge process for me. Now, I actually enjoy doing it, but I don't know that the average passenger actually enjoys doing that. Here's another display. I believe this is an OTA. And it's a little bit better, but not too much. We've got, sorry, Mandira. We've got a logo for the airline. I don't know if you can see that. We see JetBlue and Spirit. There's a little drop down, view the deal, the price, the time, but not too exciting. There's nothing really to differentiate the products you're getting on these flights. Like, what am I actually paying for other than maybe just the flight from point A to point B? How can we improve this? All right. We like to compare the cups to the flight. You may have seen something similar to this before. But here on the left, we have a picture from Amazon.com of 100 cups, literally just drinking cups, right? They're paper, they might be wax coated, they may take hot or cold beverages. They're $13.49. And look at all the information that's there if you can see. If not, I'll tell you what's on the side. There's 6 images that you can click on. There are 4 different places that you can click to compare sizes and different prices. And then all the text below of what you're getting with that cup. I mean, it's a cup. How much can you tell me about a cup? But there's a lot. Compared to a flight that's $1,349. It's telling me the airline, the origin destination, time, and the time en route, and the fare. What else? Not much. So I'm getting all this information for cups versus 100 times that price in a typical traditional display. It's just showing me the absolute basics. So how can you take that further and really encourage passengers to buy up, to buy the right product at the right time for them? All right, I'm going to hand it over to Mandira.
So how can you create a best-in-class shopping experience for your customers? When 80% of the customers today compare offers from multiple websites, how do you ensure that your offers are not left behind? How do you make sure that the customer actually buys the ticket from you? What do you do to not only meet but exceed the customer expectations? Thought-provoking questions, right? Survey results show that the millennials and the Gen Zs are flying the most today. These young and dynamic travelers don't care if the offer was created dynamically or is being distributed via NDC. All they want is a choice. They want to personalize their travel experience. And what do you do about that? Remember, the need for your offers to stand out is no longer a luxury today, but a necessity. So let us see and understand how Route Happy can empower you for your shop flights and for your in the shopping display, as well as powering your flight search results. Route Happy provides you targeted information, messaging, and visuals for the different airline offers, prices, as well as for the different services that the airlines offer. What does Route Happy consist of? 3 different content types: amenities, UTAs, which are the universal ticket attributes, and UPAs, the visuals, which are the universal product attributes. In a nutshell, amenities are your in-flight features, UTAs are your fare benefits and restrictions, and UPAs are the visual content that can show the experience that a traveler can have if he books that particular fare. So let's start getting into these 3 different content types, right? The first one is UPAs. Now, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what do the UPAs do? The UPAs showcase and bring to life unique airline products and services. Like right here, you see that if you see in the bottom, you have this, what are you going to get on the flight? How does your seat look? Are you going to get any kind of premium meals? How would that look? If you have a lounge access, how does that look, and how does it come with your particular fare? So this is, and we also have the coverage in here on we have premium UPAs for 59 airlines today, and then we are, for the ones that we do not have the premium UPAs, on the left-hand side, you can see the standardized UPAs, or as we call it, the seat infographics that we have created for more than 450 airlines. Amenities are in-flight content. So what do I mean when I say in-flight content? Will you have Wi-Fi on the flight? Do you have drinks on the flight? What is the seat pitch? How are you contributing to the environment? What is the CO2 emissions for this particular flight? All comes through the amenities. Amenities, we have the amenities for almost 510 airlines, and that is for 98% of the flights. UTAs. Now, UTAs are standardized and easy to integrate fare benefits and restrictions. And as you see in here, we have 10 different categories, and we have the latest one just off the press. But let me concentrate on the other ones first. This is about your baggage fees, your change cancel fees, your priority check-in, everything that is associated to the particular fare that you are selling. You get all those things using this universal ticket attributes. And the latest one, which we just released end of March, is the loyalty rewards, where a passenger would now know what is the kind of reward that he would get if he books this flight. Is it 10,000 more miles? Is it 75% more accrual? So all that information comes through here. So now that you heard about amenities, UPAs, and UTAs, you might wonder, how do I get this content? It looks good. I have the in-flight features. I have the fare benefits restrictions. I have the visuals. It is simple. In a simple API call, you can get all this 3 content for the itineraries that you want to get them for. And we can provide up to 300 itineraries in a single API call. And this is all 3 content using very, very simple parameters like your itinerary, the cabin, etc. We have all this information on our developer portal, on our website, and after this session, we can, of course, provide more information on that. But this is how, and we also have the subscription files, and you must have noticed that on all of our slides. The subscription files for the amenities, UTAs, and UPAs are geared more for our GDS customers. Okay.
All right. So let's summarize with what Mandira just said. All right. We've got a lot of coverage for these different products with Route Happy. So summarizing on the left-hand side, for amenities, we have 510 airlines that we display amenities for, covering 98% of the flight schedule for these airlines. UTAs, universal ticket attributes, 420 airlines. That is a lot of airlines, covering 92 or more % of the flight schedule. The premium UPAs, these are the beautiful pictures, the 360s, the videos. We have 59 airlines representing 48% or more of their content. And you can see some of the logos down below of those airlines. Now, as far as sales channels on the right-hand side, we've got 5 GDSs. I don't know if you can see them there, but we have 5 GDSs, 28 corporate agents, 20 OTA, online travel agents, 10 Meta, and 8 direct channels that are displaying the content on their directairline.com. Right. So let's dive a little bit more into some statistics. We'll highlight a few airline and sale channel stats when they integrated, and how do we unleash this power of Route Happy. All right, so each of these measurements that we have here, we have the data, get forward one, underneath. But after Route Happy was implemented, we've seen a lot of improvement in different areas. So one airline, if you look at the top left, that 3.5% conversion improvement, they noticed after implementing Route Happy that booking a little bit further than before into the process improved by 3.5%. Below that, a 35% increase in premium bookings an airline reported. So this could be a premium cabin, it could be a premium seat within a cabin, but basically 35% more premium bookings after this was implemented. 60% faster time to purchase. So when that passenger pulled up an origin, a destination, and they compared the products and saw this rich content, they made their decision, I guess, pretty fast because they could see what they were getting. One airline reported up to 2.6 million increase in revenue. That's huge. One airline, a 3.4 increase in conversion rate. So taking that inquiry, looking at the booking, taking it all the way to sale. And then 120% increase in ancillary and passenger sales was reported by, that was an airline. So these are big numbers. Okay. All right. So before we show you some more use cases of Route Happy content, let's look at some key capabilities that Route Happy can do, some problems that have been around for a while that Route Happy can solve. We've got really highly targeted content, as Vindira mentioned, not just by cabin, but by different now seats in the cabin, specific fare brands, what kind of lounges, meals, and everything that goes into the passenger experience. We based on the cabin, as you see here, but also down to the schedule and the aircraft. So that if maybe I'm on an A380, which I believe this picture is showing, this flight at 8:30 a.m. on Emirates from Dubai to JFK, it's looking at the schedule with the pricing in the flight and knows that this is an A380, and we have this content, this picture of a bar on the A380. Whereas if the passenger chooses maybe a flight that's on a 777, I don't think the bar exists on that flight. So it's going to target that not just to the origin destination, but the actual aircraft as well. And then down below, you see the targeted content, what they're going to get in Business Flex, Business Saver features. You see a picture of the bar again, because this is an A380, the seat back entertainment, what it looks like when they recline into a bed.
So Nicole, I'm going to add in here, yes. In here, the picture that you see here is from the Route Happy Hub. Now, Route Happy Hub is a place where the airlines can now go in and start targeting their UPAs or visuals to particular flights. So this is something in control of the airlines. For the airlines in the room, this is how you go about and offer your new products and services and tie them to the particular flights with our content strategies and get that messaging out. And the API would then go ahead and query based on our logic that we have, as Nicole explained, trying to look at your itinerary, trying to look at your brand, your cabin, and make sure that you get back the right UPAs. So for the sales channels as well as the direct websites, you can go ahead and put the right picture on your website.
Exactly.
So there is a lot going behind the scenes, but for those who are implementing it, it is very easy and seamless. Thank you, Nicole.
Oh, thank you. All right. Let's talk about languages. You see the Route Happy UTAs and UPAs here for Gulf Air. And we actually have displays in up to 28. I think we might have a couple more languages at this point. So here you're saying these UTAs, UPAs in Arabic. So we do have the ability to display these not just in English, but a lot of different languages. So when you're targeting customers in different areas of the world, it actually speaks to them. Okay. Now, code share. As long as code share and airlines been around, there's always been problems, right, with communicating to the passenger. There's always been confusion. There's still some confusion about the actual flight experience. Now, with Route Happy, we have a lot of ways you can solve this problem. You can be very clear with the passenger on what to expect for each leg of that journey with the code share. There's the capability to connect and describe the experience in different legs, maybe leg by leg, for each of maybe the operating carriers on that flight or that itinerary. So this is really going to help minimize the confusion when that passenger shows up and they're departing and they think they're getting one thing and they don't get it because, another operating carrier other than, who they thought they were getting is operating the flight. So here we have an example on Air France. So this is Air France's direct website. And it is an example of a code share AFKL and I believe Etihad from Mexico City to Abu Dhabi. So they see the price, they see the itinerary, and they see operated by. Now on KL's website, what happens when they click the details, or can happen, is that this is going to show the experience not for Air France. I think I said KL, but for Air France, the outbound flight is actually operated by Aeromexico. So KL isn't going to show their cabin here because that's not what the passenger's actually getting. And I keep saying KL. I'm so used to saying KL Air France. It's Air France's website, but operated on the left by Aeromexico. So you're seeing their entertainment, meal, their rich content for that sector. The inbound, marketed by Air France, this is maybe being bought on Air France's website, but it's operated by Etihad. So it's pulling the content from Etihad to show the experience they're going to get on that flight. So when the passenger buys this ticket from Air France, maybe, they're getting a real picture of what they're going to get on each of their legs, right? And not expecting maybe what Air France has on their aircraft. Okay? All right. I think Indira is going to take this a little further.
Thank you, Nicole. And Nicole went over how the airlines are using the Route Happy API to get that Route Happy content and are decorating their own website. Now let's take a look at a few sales channels on what they have been doing and unleashing that power of Route Happy. So in here we see our partners Navan and Amadeus. Both of them are displaying the unique airline offers under each brand. Now Navan is doing it for the fare brands for the same airline. Amadeus has taken it a step further, comparing fare brands across the airlines. Now what does this do? Differentiating these offers with targeted visuals and attributes and amenities helps the customer understand their choices and make an informed decision. What does that lead to? Increased passenger satisfaction and customer loyalty, right? Next. So in here, today, if you see, onboard retail and ancillaries are really boosting revenue conversions. So when you are in a shopping path, Kayak and Sabre, and of course even Navan and Amadeus, they are recommending higher value fares to the customers so that they have the choice that if they don't like a particular fare brand, they can move to the next fare brand, to a higher value fare brand. Did you notice? I mentioned higher value, not higher price. That's what we need to concentrate on. The value that a customer or a passenger can get when he or she is booking a ticket. Today, everyone wants to personalize their own journey. Nobody wants to do what the other person is doing. And this is the way you allow them to customize, to allow them to see what is providing. It works for the airlines. They can bring all those products and services in front of the customers, and from the sales channels perspective, this is how you make sure that those 80% of the customers that are comparing the web offers are buying from you. So, ancillaries. Now, we heard that word ancillaries coming up. The ancillary market is set to skyrocket to a whopping $728 billion by 2030. That's an enormous number. And why is that increasing? Because the need from the passengers to get more personalized offers and to be able to select their own amenities is driving this market. Seat is the number one ancillary. And mapping your seat maps, taking your seat maps and combining that with route happy content is an effective way of seat merchandising. As I keep saying, sell the experience, not the price. In here, you see, sorry, can we go to the next slide? I'll come back to the slides. Sorry, I was talking about the slide. So in here, if you see, Expedia on their mobile website has mapped the seat map to the route happy content. And on the right hand side, we have Concur that is now providing you the details, the seat map along with the seat photo, and then it also has additional information. You can pull in the amenities and the UTs. Now this gives a complete picture. Like for me, as a consumer, if I want to know why am I paying $25 more for this particular seat, this tells me I don't have questions in my mind. And that's what you want to be. You want to be transparent to your customers, whether you are an airline or whether you are a sales channel. You want to do that, right? So Kate, now we need to go to the previous. Yeah. So when we saw that slide, we saw the seat map, right? We always keep getting asked, on my mobile, I really don't have that retail area. I really don't have that real estate to show all this content. I can only show minimal content or very less content. Now, this is an example from one of our partners, eSky. On the left-hand side, what you see is their desktop version, where you can go in details and see all of those things. And on the right-hand side is their mobile cell phone version. Now, they are also showing the same information. Whether you are booking on the desktop or whether you're booking on the cell phone, route happy content, UPAs can scale. There are different formats that we send the UPA content out in, so you can scale for any medium that you want to show the content in. So this is, we will talk more about the video UPAs. Now, in an era of TikTok and Insta, short, compelling videos are a strong use case for boosting your sale conversions, right? So should we stay behind? No. We have created the video UPAs for you so that you can go ahead and sell that experience to the customer. The young travelers today just don't want to learn what they are going to get. They actually want to see what they are going to get. And in here, if you see, one of our partners, Webjet, is using Virgin Australia's video UPAs to sell an experience. And we can see the video now. So you want to introduce for the airlines in the room. I'm talking to the airlines now. I don't know who are the airlines and who are the sales channels, but talking to the airlines in the room, you have a new product. You want to take it to the market. You have your social media, you're promoting that. How is this? You go ahead and this goes to all your sales channels. And if your sales channels are showing this, that's it. You have marketed. You have reached to those thousands and thousands and millions of Insta folks and TikTok folks who are addicted to videos. And these videos, you can create these videos. The power is in your hands to go ahead and create these videos. How much shorts, these short, compelling videos. So, that's it. I think I don't need to speak for this. The video itself, the video has spoken for itself.
All right. So we know we've given you a lot of information here, to help you visualize what Root Happy can really do for you. So after this very short session and putting so much out here, how do you feel your knowledge of Root Happy has increased, if any, after this session? Has it increased a little, a lot? Go ahead and click this Slido and let's take a look and see how you feel. Has it helped you getting there? Look at that. Absolutely. Great. Well, that's great. Yeah. Hopefully you're interested.
Awesome.
We're going to have more. There are a lot of other sessions today that go a little deeper into some of these topics, if you're interested.
Yes. So this is an interesting metric. So we spoke about the amenities, which are the in-flight content. We spoke about the UTAs, the fare benefits and restrictions, and we spoke about the UPAs, which are the visual content. So this is some statistics that I got from our product team, that we have this year served 52 billion premium UPAs just in 2024. This is a whopping 358% increase than what we had served last year. And please, just wanted to add this thing in here, that this number, the 52 billion, does not include the number of UPAs that our file subscribers, the ones that take the Root Happy file subscribers, are serving to their customers. This shows where the market is turning. The UPAs, the video UPAs, the short videos, what is it that the customers want to know in their busy schedule, in their hectic life? What is it that they want to learn? What is it that they are asking for from the airlines and from the sales channels? So this is the time for all of you to be creative and embark on this UPA's journey. If you have not done that, this is the time. We have to take into account what the market analysis, research, studies are telling us and stay on that curve. Otherwise, we will be left behind. Airline retailing is behind. And Nicole very nicely pointed out, see where Amazon is and where airline retailing is today, right? So this is the time for you to clearly communicate, engage, differentiate, and convert. Because at the end of the day, those conversion rates matter. Okay? So are you ready to unleash this power of Root Happy? I would like to quote from Henry Ford, the visionary Henry Ford. He said that coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. So I will leave you all on that note. Let us join hands, join forces, and come together and try to elevate airline retailing to the next level with Root Happy.